If you end up here, you are inspector, CMM programmer, or you're just starting your CMM programming adventure. I hope everyone will find something interesting in my series of tutorials. In this very first video, I will show you how to configure your CMM. It will probably not be the first thing you are going to do on your CMM, but the time will come and you will have to challenge that task. If you open MCosmos for the first time, to find out how far you can go, probably you will need a small guide how to do things. But the good thing is that you don't need to learn everything about the software to use it. I'm using MCosmos software for 15 years, PCDMIS for 8 and Calypso for 6 years, and there are some functions in the software I've never touched in my life, just because you don't need to know everything to easily use the software. As you probably heard about Pareto principle, you may know that 20% causes are responsible for 80% consequences, and it's like this everywhere. 20% people in the company usually do 80% of work. And it's the same in most of the software. You need to know roughly 20% of functions to master 80% of program functionality. And that's what I want to teach you in this series of tutorials. I will show you the most used and useful features that will allow you to operate the MCosmos software. What is CMM? CMM stands for Coordinate Measuring Machine, and it is a measuring instrument that has 3 orthogonal directions, X, Y, and Z, and can measure the amount of movement simultaneously. CMM consists of the 3 major parts: main unit of the CMM, probe system, and data processing unit. It is a computer and the software installed on it. If the CMM is using contact probe, we have 2 ways of collecting probe data. Touch trigger probe, coordinates obtained when tip touches a measurement workpiece. It can be used in CNC and manual mode, like TP200 and TP20. And scanning probe, coordinates obtained while probing is moving and it is in constant touch with workpiece. And it can be used only in CNC mode, like SP25. Choosing correct stylus is quite important. You should follow 3 basic rules. Keep your stylus as short as possible, so your stylus is more rigid. Use minimum number of joints and use as large tip as possible. And that is short introduced to CMM. So let's configure some CMM. And of course, learning is always best performed by doing. So let's start. To configure CMM, you have to go into your part manager, into tools, and to open CMM system manager. New window will pop up and you will see CMM configuration window in here. You can have multiple CMM configurations. To create or to add or to load new CMM, you have to click on Add CMM Configuration. You can import from sync directory. You can ask client to export the configuration and you can add it to your system. But here we're going to build a new one. We will name it as CMM and rack. First thing, you have to add CMM. In my case, it's Krista Apex 7106. You just choose the CMM and click on Add. And now we are choosing calibration ball and put in the place and simply click Add and continue. Now we're going to add the rack for our system. In my case, it will be MRS 600. MRS 600 modular rack system. So the MRS modular rack system provides a platform for initial probe and stylus chain racks. It can be 400, 600 or 1000 mil long. As you can see, this one is 600 mil long. And when you add it, then click OK, add. So now you have to look in this place. You can see every part has its index, and it is quite important in MCosmos, as MCosmos is using indexing for absolutely everything, from indexing CMM master ball, rack system, features like circles, planes. Every feature has index. So now when I have the modular rack system installed on my CMM, you can see it's index 1. So every single bit added to this rack system will have index with next number. So in my case, I have FCR25. It's flexible change rack for automated changing of SP25 or probe holders. So click on FCR25, locate on the position. Position it matters, but it doesn't really matter because you have to calibrate the position after installing anyway. So when you add it, then you can see it's FCR25 with index number 2. So if you want to add more, then single click on FCR25, move to the position, it will to nearest position, and it will log to the system. So now we will add it again, and I will add one more. So now I have 3 FCRs added to my system, and you can see it's index 1 for the rail, and 2, 3, and 4 for free holders. And there are ports 1 to 3, 1 to 3, and 1, 2, and 3. To go forward now, you have to click on return and then continue. And now we have the rack set up on our system, or we can switch off our master ball. Okay, so we have our CMM, we have our rack, and now the only thing is missing is our probe head. To add it, click on port 1, double click on port 1, and now you can add components for your probe head. In my case, it's PH10MQ with SP25 on it and SM25 version 1. And now SP25 is using an M3 thread, but of course our CMM was using TP20 before, and we had lots of probes. So to use them, we have to use converter from M3 to M2. And my first probe is 5 mm diameter, A5003-0066. As you can see, I've added extra connector. I'm not following the second rule to create the probe. And when you click OK, you will see every port will have SM25 attached. But of course, we're not millionaires, and we're not going to use modules for every single probe. Simply because it's 2,500 pounds each, and we can save lots of money for the company to change not probe with SM25 on it, but only SH25, which is probe holder. And I'm going to use as well in port number 5. I'm not going to use SM25-1, but SM25-3, which is used for longer probes, longer probe ranges. And this FCR25 you can configure it to hold only SM25 or SH25, the black stuff. This is the probe holder, and you cannot configure it to hold both of them. And this is the problem when you have SM25-1 and SM25-3 and SH1 in every single port to change probe. I will just explain in a minute. So in this port number 2, we're not going to have SM25, but we will have SH25 as a probe holder, and I will do the same in all other all other ports. In port number 1 in FCR25-3, I will have SH25-3. So it will be a probe holder for longer styli. The port number 2 in this rack, it will be empty, and port number 3, it will be empty, but it will be in use. So now, if you think to change probe 1 to probe number 2, you have to drop SH25 somewhere, but you cannot drop it in the same position as probe 1 sits, because it's configured to sit with SM25-1. So we have to use some parking position, and we're going to use port 3 for parking. And to use this port for parking, you have to click on probe number 1, port number 1, port settings, and then you have to click stylus is subject to change, and we're going to use FCR25-3 and port number 3, and we have to do it the same with we will, but I will show you in a second. So to add next probe configuration, you cannot right click on it because it says define probe 3. It's like unhighlighted. But if you go to SM25-3, you can define probe 3 just because SM25 is located in that port. You will not be able to add configuration for next probes just because it has only SH25, and you have to use some probe module with that system. But we have to add parking position for this probe as well, and it will be the same parking position, FCR25-3, port number 3. So now we can actually configure our probes. To configure probe number 2, you have to click on port number 1. Yep, port number 1, and then define probe 3. Oh, if you click on port number 2, anyway, you cannot define probe 3. If you click on port 1, define probe 3, and then you will see we are defining 3 number 2 using SM25-1, which is this one, and SH25-1 from FCR25 index 2 and port number 2. So if you click on it or add it and then hit OK, then new window will pop up and you will see you have SP25, SM25-1, SH25, which is the black stuff, and of course I have to add my M3 to M2 adapter, and probe is A5003 38022. It's 2 mm diameter probe. If we click OK, then this probe should appear in port number 2. To add next one, you do the same thing, port 1, right click, define probe 3. Define probe 3 for probe tree number 3. We are using SM25-1 and SH25 index 2, which is this one, and port number 3. Add, OK, and the same thing, add M3 to M2, and my probe 3 is A5000 8663. 8663. It is probably 1 mil in diameter. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing with probe number 4. Right click, define probe tree 4, and now we are using SH25 index 1, 2, 3, index 3 and -1. Add, OK, and converter A5003 1345 1345. OK. Now I'm going to add probe 5, and I'm going to do it clicking on probe 5, port 2 in FCR25 index 3, just because we have SM25 already located in it. So right click, define probe tree. You don't have to add anything else in here because you have SM25 in there. So if you click OK, then we will add SH25-3, which is probe holder for long probes. Double click on it, and in here I don't have to use connector, as this one is using probe with M3 thread on it, and the probe, it will be A5000 7630 5000 7630. Okay. Probe number 6, it will be with SM25-1. It will be disk probe, so define probe tree, and now we are using FCR25 index 3 and port number 3, and that will be our tree number 6. The same thing, I'm going to add M3 to M2, and now I will have some extension M5000 3647, and the probe, it will be A5000 7809 disk probe. Okay, and the last probe, it's probe number 7. We're going to add configuration, of course, from SM25-3. Define probe settings, SH25-3, the only one in our system. Click OK, and now we are going to add our M3 to M2 converter, and probe, it will be A5003 2289 2289. Yeah, it's 4 mil diameter and 100 mil long. So this SM25-3 we are using with like a long range of probes. And to add it, you have to now click on it, double click, and hit OK. And that's our system, and our probing system is completely finished. So now our CMM is fully configured, and there is one thing you have to change, like this is the must. If you go to MRS 600 standard and right click on it, then you will see safety position before docking. It means when the probe is changed, then it goes to safe position, and before and after is the same position. So if you have 3 modules added here, you will see that every single one has different X position. So for the first one, it will go here, its X is 110. For the second one, it's 219. So it will, the safety position, it will be roughly in this place. You can leave it as it is, or you can change the same position for all probes. So the last thing you have to, this is like you have to change in your configuration. So I will just rotate the view here, so we will see. If you right click on it, okay, yeah. If you right click, you will see the Y position of the safety position before docking and after docking. So the probe goes and drop probe, change probe, and then it's going to safe position. And this safe position Y, it's set up just above the racking system. And you will find out later on if you're going to use a clear plane, and this is quite dangerous, as if you will not switch off clear plane while changing probe, the probe will move to the safety position, it will change stylus, it will go back to safety position, and first thing CMM is doing when the clear plane is on, it's going down to clear plane. So it will go straight down into your probe tree, and this, it's pretty good for collisions if you hit stuff from side, but never when you hit stuff in Z direction. And to refurbish this bit is £1,000-ish. So to save a couple quid for your company, first thing, you just go change Y position from 927, let's say, to 800 or 850, and so maybe even to move this position, the back position, out of your racking system, so you'll not hit the rack or your probe head. And pretty much that's it. That's our CMM. And if you click OK, then it will be saved. And you can see new CMM setup it's here. I'm going to use it in offline configuration. So to use it, you have to click OK and click OK. And that's it for the configuration. If you liked it and you would like to see more, please subscribe or leave comment, and see you next time.